world news and events COVID-19 on July 10, 2020. Note, this is a collaborative video made between Travel for All Fanpage and Knowledge of Coronavirus channel. Please respectfully welcome everyone. The following is the remarkable news most on July 10 as follows. One general updated situation of COVID-19 in the world. According to the Worldometers statistics page, up to 6 a.m. on 10/7, the world had 12,376,423 people infected with acute respiratory tract infection COVID-19, including 556,473 deaths and 7,181,093 patients recovered. In the context of a serious epidemic, on July 9, the World Health Organization, WHO, announced that it would set up an independent committee to assess its treatment of COVID-19, as well as public prevention of epidemics by governments of countries. Speaking at an online meeting with representatives of 194 member countries and territories, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said former New Zealand Prime Minister Helen Clark and former Liberian President L. Johnson Sirleaf agreed to head the committee is on and will select members. Ghebreyesus also said the committee would provide a preliminary report for the annual meeting of health ministers scheduled to be convened in November. In addition, the head of WHO also mentioned that in May, the member countries of WHO agreed to adopt the resolution of the European Union (EU), which called for an independent assessment of the international responses to the crisis, including an investigation of WHO treatment of the COVID-19 pandemic. 2. U.S. News. The U.S. again increased the record number of COVID-19 cases in one day, more than 65,000 cases. AFP news agency quoted statistics of Johns Hopkins University on 9/7 said within 24 hours, the United States had an additional 65,551 new cases of COVID-19. To date, the United States has more than 3.2 million cases, of which more than 135,000 have died and is the country most affected by COVID-19. Based on Reuters statistics, July 9 is the third day the number of newly added U.S. cases is higher than 55,000. The rising epidemic situation and breaking records of recent cases in the states of California, Florida, and Texas have had a significant impact on investor sentiment, causing the expectation of economic recovery also decreased. In addition to the three most populous states in the U.S., the number of COVID-19 cases has also increased in other states such as Alabama, Montana, and Wisconsin. Another news from the U.S. is the mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, Keisha Lance Bottoms, positive for COVID-19 but no symptoms of the disease. The mayor said she and her family regularly wear masks when appearing in public places, maintaining social distance and washing their hands. Keisha Lance Bottoms plans to work from home for 2 weeks of isolation. The state of California sues the Trump administration for unreasonable visa laws against foreign students. The state of California on Thursday, July 9, brought a lawsuit against President Donald Trump's government for a new regulation which forced foreign students to take classes at the school during the COVID-19 epidemic. If not, you may be deported. The state of California says the rule violates federal laws that have been going on for years regarding the way federal government agencies make laws in the country, according to UPI news agency. 3. Indian news. India has nearly 800,000 cases of COVID-19. India on July 10 recorded a record 26,506 new cases of coronavirus. The total number of COVID-19 infections in India today is 795,791 and 21,639 people have died from the pandemic. New Delhi, Maharashtra state and Tamil Nadu state account for about 60% of people infected with COVID-19 in India. In early June, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government eased blockade measures enacted in March because of economic burdens. However, the rapid increase in new infections has forced some industrial cities and populous states to reimpose local anti-epidemic measures. The industrial town of Aurangabad, Maharashtra state, has imposed a 9-day curfew, according to Reuters news agency. India's most populous state, Uttar Pradesh, will blockade 2 days from July 10 after reporting more than 32,000 people infected with COVID-19. 4. Hong Kong news. Hong Kong suspends teaching activities. The Hong Kong Education Office on July 10 announced the suspension of all schools in the district after the number of local COVID-19 infections increased, raising concerns about a new wave of infections in the community. The city recorded 42 COVID-19 cases on July 9, including 34 local cases, and this is the second consecutive day Hong Kong recorded an increase in the number of local cases. Some new cases have been linked to both students and parents, according to Reuters news agency. 5. Brazilian news. Brazil is the country with the most deaths in the last 24 hours, with 1,129 people. The number of cases infected in the last 24 hours in Brazil is over 39,000. 6. Japanese news. Japan urges nightclubs and red light districts to take action to prevent the corona from spreading. Japanese Economy Minister Yasutoshi Nishimura on July 10 urged nightclubs, the country's red light district, to act quickly and to follow rules to prevent the spread of coronavirus after the quarters. Red lights become new hotspots for COVID-19. Yasutoshi made the recommendation after Tokyo recorded a record-breaking number of COVID-19 infections during the day, with more than 240 cases being recorded on July 10, according to NHK. The majority of new cases are in the red light districts of the capital. 7. Korean news. According to Worldometers info, as of July 10, South Korea had 13,338 cases of COVID-19 and 288 deaths. Korea bans small groups from gathering in churches. Starting July 10, South Korea will prohibit churches from holding small gatherings in addition to normal worship services, according to Yonhap news agency. The registration program, based on QR codes applied to entertainment venues, is now also applied at churches. The South Korean government said the measure is intended to prevent potential risks from church gatherings and will be lifted based on future circumstances. In the past 2 weeks, about 9% of new infections in this country were unknown sources. 8. Mexican news. Mexico detected more than 7,200 new cases in 24 hours. The Mexican government on July 9 announced that it had recorded an increase in COVID-19 cases by day, reaching a record high of 7,280 new cases. Along with that, the death toll also increased by 730 cases in 24 hours. According to real-time statistics of Worldometers, to 11 a.m. this morning, July 10, Vietnam, Mexico is the 9th country in the world in the number of cases of COVID-19, with 282,283 cases, of which 33,527 people have died. Mexico recorded the first case of COVID-19 from the end of February this year. 9. Australian news. According to Worldometers, Australia has a total of 18,615 cases so far. 706 people have died and 16,758 have recovered. Australia has the rate of citizens repatriating during the COVID epidemic. 19. The Australian government today announced on July 10 that it would have the number of citizens allowed to return to their homes each day amid the country's efforts to control it. Outbreaks are emerging in the second largest city in the country. According to the AFP news agency, since July 13, only 4,000 Australian citizens or permanent residents are allowed to return to their homes every day, half the current limit of about 8,000. The announcement came as Victorian officials recorded an additional 288 cases of COVID-19, mainly in the state capital city of Melbourne. From this week, about 5 million residents in the Melbourne area have been ordered to comply with a 6-week blockade to prevent disease. 10. In Romania, hundreds of COVID-19 patients self-discharge in Romania. While the Romanian parliament is preparing to pass a mandatory quarantine law to prevent the spread of COVID-19, hundreds of patients with COVID-19 in the country have left the hospital themselves. According to Health Minister Nelutataru, a total of 624 patients requested to be discharged and are at risk of transmitting new strains of coronavirus in the community. In addition, more than half of the 50,000 people who are being asked to quarantine themselves after returning from abroad have not complied and left their homes. Romania, one of the poorest countries in Europe, recorded 614 new cases of COVID-19 on July 9, the highest increase ever. With about 20 million people, the country has had 30,789 cases and 1,834 deaths. Our newsletter is now over. Thank you for always watching and supporting our videos. Knowledge of coronavirus, channel and travel for all fanpage respectfully, and see you in the next video. 4. India has opened 4 field hospitals in Mumbai because the number of deaths in this region accounts for a quarter of the 20,100 deaths nationwide, and city hospitals are overcrowded. India reviews about 50 Chinese investment projects. Amid tense Sino-Indian border situations, the Indian government is reviewing about 50 investment projects involving Chinese companies under a new appraisal policy. Under the new rules announced by India in April this year, all investments of entities in neighboring countries, whether new or additional, require the approval of the Indian government. The new investment rules are intended to curb opportunistic acquisitions during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, senior industry executives say since the conflict between the two countries on the disputed border last month led to the deaths of 20 Indian soldiers, the relationship between the two countries has worsened. The move may have further delayed the approval of investment projects. Knowing that China is the largest customer among these investors, the new regulation has come under criticism from Chinese investors and the Beijing authorities, who consider the policy discriminatory behavior. Last week, India banned 59 mobile apps, most of which were Chinese, including TikTok and WeChat. This is India's toughest act against China since the border crisis erupted last month. This move may affect the expansion plan of major Chinese companies in India. 5. Europe news. In Europe, AFP statistics show that more than 200,000 people have died from COVID-19 in the region. The UK and Italy are the two most affected countries in the region, with 44,236 and 34,869 cases, respectively, while the total number of infections in the continent has reached 2,751,606. 6. China's National Health Commission, NHC, announced it had 8 more new cases of COVID-19 on July 7. To date, China has a total of 83,565 cases, including 4,634 deaths and 78,528 patients cured. India, the third largest epidemic region in the world, continues to record new cases of COVID-19 infection above 20,000, reaching 23,135 cases in the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of infected people to 743,481, with 20,653 deaths, in the context that the country promotes loosening prevention measures to resume economic activities. China is in torrential floods. On the evening of July 7, China's Central Meteorological Station issued a warning of heavy orange rain on a 4-color scale, from low to high: blue, yellow, orange, and red. Days ago, the center had issued blue warnings for a long time, then turned yellow in recent days, when heavy rain hit China since early June. This is the first orange heavy rain warning that China's Central Meteorological Station issued this year. The center advises local authorities to cut off power sources and stop outdoor activities in dangerous places. According to the warning, from July 20 to July 20 at 20 o'clock, the east of Hubei province, east of Anhui, north of Hunan, north of Jiangxi, west of Zhejiang, will receive rain. Big. In particular, the southeastern part of Hubei, northern Jiangxi and southern Anhui will receive particularly heavy rain, with rainfall from 250 to 80 millimeters. In Anhui province, floodwaters attacked houses, roads, and engulfed vehicles. A district in the province today had to postpone 2 language arts and math exams in the university entrance exam after suffering the most severe flooding since 1969. An ancient bridge dating to the Ming Dynasty, 1368-1644, collapsed in the face of the floodwaters in China's Anhui province in the regret of many. Shanhai Bridge was built during the Ming Dynasty, 1368-1644. This bridge, also known as Liaodai Bridge, is located at the junction of three rivers, Tanan, Suitai and Hongjiang. According to eyewitness accounts, at about 10 a.m. July 7, floodwaters on the river flow very strongly. The body of the bridge was broken and then almost the entire bridge collapsed to make way for floodwaters. For the first time in 50 years, the Steam District in China's Anhui province has suffered from severe floods that prevented candidates from taking university exams, forcing authorities to postpone 2 subjects on the first exam day. On July 6, Wuhan City in Hubei province increased the emergency response to prevent flooding from level 3 to level 2 on a 4-level ladder with the highest level 1, according to Xinhua news agency. Wuhan was the site of the outbreak of COVID-19 and was already heavily damaged by the pandemic. Heavy rains have caused serious flooding in Wuhan in the past 2 days, with rainfall exceeding 250 millimeters from early 5.7 to early 6.7. At Oolong Station area in Jianghe District, rainfall reaches 393.6 millimeters 7. Iran News. In Iran, health officials reported an additional 200 deaths from COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. This is the highest number of deaths since the outbreak in the Middle East in February, bringing the total number of COVID-19 deaths in the country to 11,931. Meanwhile, the number of new infections in Iran has increased sharply, with 3,392 cases recorded in the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of infected people to 217,108. 8. Indonesia News. In Indonesia, the number of new COVID-19 infections per day remains high above 1,000. In the past 24 hours, Indonesia recorded 1,268 new cases, bringing the total number of people infected to 66,226, including 3,309 deaths. 9. Philippines News. In the Philippines, the government has lifted restrictions on traveling abroad with people. Under the new rules, people traveling abroad on a tourist visa need to submit round-trip tickets with appropriate travel health insurance to cover the cost of rebooking and staying in case they get stuck in foreign. According to statistics, in the past 24 hours, the country recorded an additional 1,540 cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of people infected to 47,873, including 1,309 deaths. 10. Scientists say there is no community immunity to COVID-19. Concerning the situation of the COVID-19 epidemic, a new Spanish study published in the medical journal The Lancet shows that there is no community immunity to COVID-19. The measures to keep animal distance management, hygiene and wearing a mask are still the best ways to control the disease. Spanish scientists conducted a study of 61,000 people to identify those with antibodies against COVID-19 disease. As a result, only 5% of these have acquired anti-COVID-19. Epidemiologist of the Free University of Belgium, ULB, Marius Gilbert affirmed even in the most affected areas of the COVID-19 pandemic, the proportion of people with antibodies to the SARS-CoV virus -2 is very low. Therefore, we cannot obtain community immunity against COVID-19. Our newsletter is now over. Thank you for always watching and supporting our videos. Knowledge of coronavirus, channel and travel for all fanpage respectfully, and see you in the next video. And most important means of every citizen in preventing and reducing the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. 7. Korea News. In Korea, the Central Committee for Disease Control and Prevention under the Korea Disease Prevention and Control (CDC) said that starting July 6, the unit will coordinate with the Ministry of Oceanography and Fisheries and the Ministry of Health. The Justice carries out the COVID-19 test on all crew members disembarking the ship and at the same time isolates foreign crew members at the designated establishment from July 13. 8. Africa News. In Africa, according to the Egyptian Ministry of Health, an additional 969 new cases of COVID-19 were reported, bringing the total number of infected people to 76,222. This is the lowest daily increase in new infections since June 19. The number of deaths in Egypt increased to 3,422. In South Africa, the number of new COVID-19 infections per day is still rising, with 8,971 cases recorded in the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of infected people to 205,721, the highest on the continent. 9. Iran news. Iran negotiates a 25-year strategic agreement with China. On July 5, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif announced that Tehran was negotiating a 25-year deal with China in which the terms would be announced as soon as the agreement was reached. The deal with China has been a hot topic on Iranian social networking since former President Mohammad Ahmadinejad criticized ongoing talks with a foreign country last month. But Foreign Minister Zarif, who was hit by a 2015 nuclear deal that Iranian conservatives always oppose, said there was no secret about the deal with China. Zarif said the whole country would be informed when an agreement was signed. According to him, the deal was made public in January 2016 when Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Tehran. It is known that China is also a key market for Iran to export crude oil, but this activity was hampered by sanctions imposed by the U.S. after Washington withdrew from its nuclear deal with Tehran in 2018. 10. Pakistan news. In Pakistan, Pakistan Health Minister Zafar Mirza announced that he had tested positive for SARS-CoV-2 virus. This is the latest high-ranking Pakistani official with COVID-19. Up to now, Pakistan has recorded 231,818 people infected, including 4,762 patients died. On July 6, Pakistan Health Minister Zafar Mirza revealed that he had tested positive for the SARS-CoV-2 virus that caused COVID-19 acute respiratory infection. This is the latest senior official of Pakistan infected with this dangerous virus. Our newsletter is now over. Thank you for always watching and supporting our videos. Knowledge of Coronavirus, Channel and Travel for All fan page respectfully, and see you in the next video.